Let's continue our conversation with noted defense attorney, former Harvard Law professor, and Newsmax blogger Alan Dershowitz. Alan, we appreciate your time. Of course, you've written the new ebook on terror tunnels. You often speak of what Israel confronts. And now both Israel and, quite frankly, the United States, or the legislative branch in the United States, confronted with the notion that President Obama could strike a deal with the Iranians and try to bypass Congress. How does he do that and pass constitutional muster?
I don't think he can. I think this is clearly a treaty, and call it what you want. It is a contractual relationship with another country, and you can't circumvent the Constitution by calling it something else. It reminds me of Abraham Lincoln's debate with his political opponent, where he says, if you call a donkey's tail a leg, how many legs would a donkey have? And the opponent says 5. And Lincoln says, no, it's 4. No matter what you call it, it's still a tail. And that's the truth. No matter what you call it, it's still a treaty. It requires congressional authorization. And if it's done pursuant to the United Nations, we are treaty members of the United Nations. The executive power can't go so far as to commit the United States to a very, very important international decision in this way without giving some congressional input. And, of course, Netanyahu is completely right. ISIS does not pose a direct threat immediately to the United States. It poses a direct threat to Syria, Iraq, maybe Jordan, maybe some of the Emirates. But the threat it poses to us is a fairly indirect one, the possibility of some terrorism coming to our shores, not unlike what was posed by some of the other terrorist groups. But Iran poses the most direct threat to the United States. Dirty bombs given to Hezbollah. Remember, Hezbollah has already blown up hundreds of Americans in a barrack in Lebanon. It poses a direct threat to Israel. Israel will not accept, no matter what deal the United States makes, Israel will not accept a threshold nuclear power in Iran, and it will do what it has to do to stop it. So this is an international matter of great importance. And what I fear is that President Obama may be looking for quick fix, immediate solutions. And ISIS is a more immediate news item than Iran, because Iran's not going to develop a nuclear bomb during his administration. It may develop one down the line, and he can't be kicking the can down the line and trying to make an alliance with Iran over ISIS and neglecting the possibility that in 3, 4, 5, 6 years we'll see a nuclear-powered Iran, which would be the greatest danger of the 20th century, of the 21st century. Rather.
Alan, mindful of your experience in the courtroom, let's talk about what just transpired today in the South African courtroom with Oscar Pistorius being sentenced to 5 years in jail. Are you surprised by that?
I'm not surprised. Okay. This judge, completely lawless person. First, the decision in the case was utterly lawless. She makes a finding that there was a reasonable doubt about whether or not Pistorius believed that there were armed robbers in the bathroom. So she finds him innocent of murder. She says, from the point of view of the law, we must conclude that he reasonably and honestly believed that there were armed robbers in that bathroom, and he shot. If that's the case, he's innocent. You can't find him guilty of an intermediate crime like manslaughter if he honestly and reasonably believed that there were killers, potential killers in that bathroom. And so she came to a compromise verdict that made everybody happy, that may be morally just but legally invalid. She's done the same thing on sentencing. She split the baby in half. She said, well, you know, he's guilty, but he's not that guilty. I'm going to give him 5 years. He should not be serving a single day in prison based on the fact that there is a reasonable doubt about his state of mind. Look, that reasonable doubt may mean he did it, but the law doesn't determine who did it. The law determines whether there's proof beyond a reasonable doubt. She's already found that there is not proof beyond a reasonable doubt, so he should be freed.
Alan, 30 seconds back in this country, illegal immigration reports that the administration is starting to print up green cards in the millions. Does that mean we're headed for an executive amnesty?
Who knows? You know, it's so interesting. Every president runs on limited presidential power, and then once they come into office, they grab all the power they can possibly get and try to sideline Congress. That's been the history since Thomas Jefferson unilaterally signed the Louisiana Purchase.
Well, we always appreciate your insights. And again, the title of the new ebook is Terror Tunnels. the case for Israel's just war against Hamas. Alan Dershowitz, once again, we thank you for your insights and analysis.
Thank you.
We look forward to your next visit here on America's Forum.
Appreciate it. Thanks. Bye.
So you heard what Alan had to say. What's your take? Will we see executive amnesty? Why don't you tweet me your remarks at Newsmax TV?